Hello guys, and I'm happy to tell you that Russian oil nightmare continues. Tonight, Ukrainian armed forces managed to destroy a very big oil terminal of the second largest Black Sea Russian Navy port, Caucasus, with modified Ukrainian missiles Neptune. And a huge fire followed, and most importantly, now this port is unavailable for storing and transportation of oil. And also, during the previous night, we managed to neutralize another Russian radar in the Crimea, temporarily occupied, but very soon back to Ukraine. This radar costs approximately $100 million and is very important for the still very vividly dying Russian air defense. And it seems like finally the United States agree that Ukraine should have a right to defend itself using the weapons of our allies to prevent Russian attacks, especially on Kharkiv and region. So let me tell you more of this important news from an ordinary Ukrainian perspective. My name is Anna and I vlog daily from Ukraine since the start of the brutal Russian invasion. So if you're new to the channel, you support Ukraine, please subscribe and help us fight against Russian propaganda and fake news. And my longtime friends, check your subscription status and hit notification button. This night, Ukrainian armed forces targeted Russian port. This is the second Russian port in the Black Sea and fifth largest Russian port in general under the name Caucasus, and destroyed a very big terminal for the storage of oil. You can clearly get that the fires on these places where oil is hit are huge, and most importantly, this is another trouble, another minus to Russian oil production and oil export industries. And I think that this Ukrainian strategy will later be studied at schools. It's not something new. Similar strategy was used back in the Second World War, and it definitely helps to paralyze the enemy. First of all, because military machines, they need a lot of oil products, and secondly, because Russia is a country that simply lives selling its natural resources, not inventing, producing something, and for them, oil, gas, and metals are vital. And honestly, I agree with Jake Bro and his analysis that it is very likely that the ceasefire that Russia seems to want may be clearly connected with this problem in their oil industry, even not that much in the military battlefield, because we all know Russians don't care about the numbers of people they use. They have exceeded 500,000 of soldiers, but still they are ready to sacrifice more. But when it comes to oil, and especially when it will be closer to winter, autumn, cold, dark periods in really big Russian Federation, they will definitely need lots of oil products, and they already have a shortage close to 20%. If we continue, and I hope, I pray we continue this strategy, by the end of summer they may lack half of oil industry, which will definitely be very bad for Russian economy and for Russian military machine, but this will be very good for us. So whenever an oil depot is on fire, an oil refinery is destroyed, or an oil terminal like yesterday, it is always good news to us. And if you want to hear more news about Ukrainian victories, remember to subscribe and help us spread more information about this war. The world has to know the truth, and unfortunately, in our lifetime, democracy has to be protected and fight for. And we do that like crazy, and Ukrainian drones reached radar that Russian army was using from the territory of the temporarily occupied Crimea. During this week, during this month, we have targeted a lot of Russian radars, including very complicated, expensive ones, really far away from the front line, that are used to monitor potential nuclear missiles. But not only, Russians have adjusted them and plan to use them on F-16s that will arrive to Ukraine, but I think that we are getting ready to this extremely important arrival of the aircraft that will definitely strengthen Ukrainian army greatly. So we are preparing not only infrastructure, but we are also preparing Russian infrastructure by neutralizing the air defense systems and also ferries in the Crimea. I did like this idea that I found online, that one of the reasons why these ferries were hit might be this very first task of F-16s when they are in Ukraine, that this will be the Kerch Bridge, and hopefully we will see it on fire, and this is how we will learn that F-16s are finally protecting Ukrainian skies, Ukrainian waters, and most importantly Ukrainian people. And honestly, it was really difficult for me to get together emotionally, and I'm actually grateful that I have this window with you, because these days are really hard. Watching what they do to Kharkiv is very painful, and also I have a lot of people that I know who are wounded or who are in a very dangerous situation right now, and it's difficult not to think about that 24/7. And today I watched two very heartbreaking videos that YouTube would perhaps ban, and maybe your Facebook or your Instagram will blur, but I'm Ukrainian, you cannot blur reality. And these were two videos of two families after yesterday's missile attack on Kharkiv, when it targeted an apartment building, a 5-story house full of families, and 6, or I'm afraid maybe 7 people were killed, murdered by Russia, many wounded. And one was a video of a father, an elderly father, calling his son, hoping he will pick up the phone because his apartment was destroyed. And he was desperately shouting in that telephone, asking for his son to pick up. And that's the end of the video. And then you read in the comments that no, his son did not make out. And watching his desperation, but still, you know, this person at the moment of filming this video was still hoping that everything is fine, and he was still coming from his like normal life where he still has his son. And it's so tragic, like, to know the reality when the video ends. Actually, all this social media and an ability to capture such moments, it's super strong, super emotional. And some chronicles, some footages of the Second World War, it's so hard to watch them. But here, when you realize it happened like yesterday in your country, on the street that resembles many of your city streets. And another one was of a really elderly man too, and he was desperately shouting the name of a woman, and I don't know, was it his wife or his daughter? And you get from the context that she will never answer anymore. And he continued desperately shouting that name, and the mayor of Kharkiv was standing next to him. And that was the moment when I realized like how bad this mayor feels. He could not like say anything. And this is the moment when, you know, like typically we are very skeptical to politicians. I am, and people in Ukraine in general. We're not like Russians. We do not worship our rulers. We do not nurture dictators. And typically we have this skepticism towards them. And that was the moment when I felt both sorry for both, like for that, of course, elderly man who lost someone dear to his heart, but also for the mayor who simply did not know what to do, what to say, because when you see so much grief daily on the streets of Kharkiv and many other streets. And you know, I'm really happy that I hope we will be allowed to strike Russian territory. I guarantee you that Ukrainians will not target schools or hospitals. We're not monsters. We're not fighting for that. We're fighting for freedom, for life, and an ability to protect these people, an ability for more Ukrainian sons, wives, and daughters to survive. Not to see such videos is actually really great, and I'm super grateful that you people in your countries are doing the job, because your flags, your t-shirts, your words, your anger, your jokes, you're mentioning my channel, everything is so important. Not mentioning like volunteering, helping Ukraine get more drones, or writing to your senators and decision makers, persuading them we cannot surrender because this is already a civilizational war. China does not want to come to the peace forum in Switzerland, and for me it's quite obvious that we see this unity of authoritarian regime, and hopefully and luckily we see this unity of the democratic countries. And I hope, I believe, I was taught and I plan to see it, that good always prevails over evil. Thank you so much for being my friends and friends of my country. Remember to join me on Instagram, X, Threads, and also in Discord. Thank you for buying me coffees, becoming my patrons and sponsors of the channel, and helping me film and write more. Yes, I'm just like when you feel really difficult, really hard emotionally, sometimes it's good to know that you're doing something, and maybe that something is useful and it actually helps you live through this very dark times. So thank you for being a part of my work, of my life, of my daily videos, of my observations and my ordinary Ukrainian experience. Check our merch shop, and all the links that you need, including my social media, are in the description of this video. But most importantly, thank you for standing with us. Thank you for your love, prayers, advice and support. Slava Ukraini!